Albert Einstein said that if bees become extinct, the human race would only have a few years to live because of the threat to the food supply. Now, honeybees worldwide are dying at unprecedented rates, leaving scientists scratching their heads. In the United States, it's so serious, the nation's agricultural industry is said to be just one bad weather event from a pollination crisis. North America correspondent Jane Cowan explains.
Dawn in cranberry country in southeastern Massachusetts. In the relative cool of the morning, third-generation beekeeper Glenn Card is moving precious cargo.
Right now we're running 5 different farms. We have 28,000 hives.
These beehives, more than 400 of them, carrying as many as 30,000 bees each, have spent the past 3 weeks here, pollinating the cranberry blossoms.
Bees are vital. Just how vital, I don't think there's been any cranberry growers that want to forego not employing the bees to find out just how vital they are.
Before they were brought to this cranberry bog, the bees were used to pollinate almonds in California, blueberries in Maine and apples in New York and New Hampshire. Something like a third of the human diet depends on fruits, nuts and vegetables directly pollinated by bees or other insects. But the bees aren't as healthy as they used to be. For the past 7 years, an average of 30% of America's bee population has been lost every season, double the previous die-off.
You definitely see a lot more what we call queen failure from time to time. So you're seeing maybe older queens or queens succumbing to something, whether it be age or some parasites or something that makes them fail.
Keeping colonies healthy enough to resist disease means dietary supplements for the bees and extra monitoring, all new expenses that are stretching the economics of commercial beekeeping.
It definitely has affected us. And I mean, our feed costs have skyrocketed.
I'm getting real comfortable with death on an epic scale.
It's a problem worldwide. In China, apple and pear farmers have resorted to painstaking hand pollination because of a drastic decline in wild bee populations.
The queen, you can see she's much larger than the other workers. They're all female, but basically she is the egg-laying machine of the colony, so she can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day. So it's pretty impressive.
Exactly what's ailing the bees is a mystery entomologist Jeff Pettis is trying to solve.
There's no simple answer to what's going on with honeybees. It's a multitude of factors. We have a parasitic mite, you have poor nutrition, you have pesticide exposure, you have a lot of different diseases that bees have. So it's a multitude of things that they're trying to take advantage of a honeybee colony.
Complicating the picture is a phenomenon called colony collapse disorder, characterised by the sudden, unexplained loss of almost all the worker bees from a colony.
It is serious. In the U.S., we actually only manage about 2.5 million colonies, and we use over 60% of those in one crop, in the almond crop in California. So when we have a 30% loss, we don't have much in the way of a buffer. We don't have much extra to meet our pollination needs. So yeah, we're literally one poor weather event away from a pollination crisis.
Even as the commercial bee industry comes under pressure, an urban beekeeping movement is flourishing, including on rooftops in Washington, D.C.
There's something incredibly meditative to beekeeping. And you sit there and you watch the bees, and sometimes I'll take a beer on the roof and just sit there and watch the bees, and sort of flitting about.
But novice beekeepers are encountering problems too.
And last year we installed 1 hive on our roof. And in the fall, we probably about October, November, we discovered mites. And within 3 weeks, both of us knew that there was no way our bees were going to survive the winter. I mean, they just killed them. And it was very fast, and we did everything that we could to try and rescue them. But when we opened the hive in March, they were all dead.
What's disappointing for recreational beekeepers is a matter of economic life and death for commercial operators. Back on the cranberry bog, Glenn Card is grateful to be so far fairly unscathed. But for how long?
You know, it's kind of like that lurking behind you all the time. When's it going to be us, you know? When are we going to have our collapse? Because it's happened to a lot of people we know, and it's happened to people bigger than us. It's happened to people smaller than us.
The journey these hives take pollinating crops from one side of the country to the other underlines the threat to the entire agricultural industry.
Everything connects to the consumer. If we have increased costs, it doesn't necessarily make us go out of business, but we have to increase our costs, which increase the growers' costs, which increases, ultimately the consumers, the end users, the people in the store. I mean, strawberries would become a luxury item like caviar or something,
Not yet Einstein's Armageddon, but the loss of nature's winged workers poses no insignificant threat to the global food supply. Jane Cowan, Lakeline.